Welcome to this week's edition of Freedom and Prosperity Radio, the weekly radio news magazine that is, well, quite honestly, tenuously holding on to every little bit of freedom and prosperity we can these days. And all of us here at the Virginia Institute for Public Policy hope that we can get past the rhetorical Molotov cocktails that people keep throwing and get back to a place where prosperity is at the core of our freedom. Joining us on the phone to open up the program, very special guest. He's got a new book out. It's called Blitz. Trump will smash the left and win. And I say this with all intent from your pen to God's ears. David Horowitz, welcome to the program. It's an honor to have you on. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, Joe.
Well, so, what was it? And I've only been able to get excerpts from the book in my schedule so far, so I've been kind of jumping in and around. But it seems to me that you have grasped something. I grew up in New York City. I'm about 10 years younger than the president, and so I've experienced how he manages the public stage, beginning with his fight with Edward Koch, the mayor of New York, over Trump Tower, and how he was able to, get it to the point where Ed Koch was lauding how great this was going to be for the city. Is that the building blocks of your book? Is that he has faced these kind of impediments before?
No, my book begins with the campaign. It's a guide, really, to the civil war we're in. And it goes over the Democrat, let's be frank, their treason in trying to overthrow a government that was duly elected. Their resistance to a legitimately elected president is treason. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. The last time that happened was 1860, when Lincoln was elected. Our whole political system rests on the peaceful transfer of power and the idea that we try to compromise. The constitutional arrangement forces, that's what the Electoral College is about, forces compromise. Because the founders saw the greatest danger to a democracy as factions, party factions. Mm-hmm. Where one faction will become a majority, tyrannize the minority, and tear the country apart, which is what is happening. Even though the Democrats haven't achieved a majority, they have enough people around them to have caused us enormous suffering. All these people that have been killed in the last month, and the crime rate, it's going to be much worse. They're spiking 100% or 200% in New York. That's because of the Democrats' sedition. And my book, Blitz, describes the seditious attitudes of the Democrats led by Pelosi, their disregard for the whole American constitutional order, systematic, their racism, which you can see it. They're anti-white racists. And, look, race, that is the kind of racism the Democrats are talking about. Mm-hmm. White racism played absolutely no role in this crisis. George Floyd have been charged with his murder. One is African American, another is Asian American. So how does race even factor in there? We don't even know what the intention of Chairman, the guy who was a Democrat, by the way, mm-hmm. with his knee on Floyd's neck is, and the cause of death hasn't been adjudicated. He probably died from fentanyl overdose and COVID, which affects your breathing. So the knee was just a trigger that killed him. But it wasn't necessarily intentional. Mm-hmm. Yet all these officers, every time a black criminal like George Floyd resists arrest and dies in the process, like Rayshard Brooks in Atlanta, it gets blamed on white people, which is ridiculous, or white racism, which is absurd. There's no evidence for it, and the Democratic Party is making it possible.
David,
My book starts actually with the question: Why did they call Trump a white supremacist even before he was in office? He was a public figure for 30 years. Nobody ever thought of him as a white supremacist, which is a ludicrous. You know, there's a handful of white supremacists in the country where they hold a demonstration with they get 15 people to come out, and then there's 1,000 counter demonstrators there.
Yeah.
They have no public officials, no. I mean, people.
Well,
the media doesn't even go to David Duke.
Yeah.
And there's a white supremacist, but he's a nobody. Whereas these black supremacists, that is the Democrat Party today. Everything is blamed on white people. But so I asked this question in my book, Blitz. Why is Trump called a white supremacist? And then the reason is the Democratic Party has a dirty secret, a scandal that they have to cover up to win elections. And that is that Democrats are 100% control every major inner city in America. And they have for 50 to 100 years. Every injustice to black people in the inner city, Democrats are 100% responsible for. In Minneapolis, where George Floyd died, there isn't a Republican in sight. The police chief's a Democrat. The mayor's a Democrat. The entire city council is Democrats except for one Green Party member. The attorney general of the state, the governor, we're all Democrats.
Yep.
Democrats are responsible for any atrocities. Well, I have to say the statistics show that white people are more likely to be killed by cops than black people. And every one of these alleged civil rights martyrs was a criminal resisting arrest. Even Breonna Taylor, who was sort of innocent. I mean, the reason she's dead is her boyfriend was a major drug dealer. That was her first boyfriend, and the second one fired on the police when they broke into the house looking for drugs, and wounded a cop. So of course the cops are, you have a job where your life is in danger every day. You're going to be skittish, and these terrible things will happen where you do overkill on some innocent person or relatively innocent person gets killed. The grave injustices to these police officers. The one in Atlanta, I mean, his weapon was taken. He was fired on. He could have been killed by this. I have nothing nice to say about Rayshard Brooks, who was serving a 7-year sentence in jail and released because of the COVID for cruelty to his own children. I get 7 years for murder in our country. So my book Blitz is all about this. It's what I call the first hoax, the Russia hoax. But the fact that inner cities are owned by the Democrat Party, and it's the reason that Trump was called a white supremacist. The same reason that McCain, Bush, and George Romney were all called racist by the Democrats. It's to neutralize their criticism of the Democrats for being the real oppressors of black people in this country. And so far as black people are oppressed, I mean, look, if you're black in America, you are more privileged, freer, and have more opportunities than blacks anywhere in the world, including in black-run countries. This is such a travesty.
David
What's
Horowitz.
going on? And my book is a total blitz. Trump will smash the left and win is a total guide to it. And the reason that he's going to win is because all Americans, including a large majority in the black community, want safety from their government. They don't want the police to get down. The Democratic Party is at war with our police departments. If you look at the actual statistics, these departments are models. Yeah, every now and then there's a bad cop. The one in Minneapolis, we don't even know that he was a bad cop. We don't know about anybody because it's guilt by accusation. No more due process.
David, so many people that I've known for my whole life, members of the Democratic Party who want nothing to do with any of this. Is that the coalition that the president is going to use to, as you say, smash the left in this and really isolate the AOCs and the radical, socialists and Marxists?
Nancy Pelosi, the witch. I mean, this woman is the leader of the House that we've had in the entire history of the country. Every time she opens her mouth, she's accusing Trump of, Putin having something on Trump and doing Putin's business. Accusing the President of the United States of being a traitor with no evidence whatsoever. That's Pelosi and Schiff. They should all be in jail. And in fact, in a normal country, they probably would be hung. That's my sentiment. Look at this bounty thing. It was leaked intelligence. That's a treasonous leak. It's a violation of the Espionage Act that leaked the intelligence, unverified. Adam Schiff, who's the head of the Intelligence Committee, gets a hold of it in February. He holds it for 6 months till June, or 5 months, until he has an opportunity to maliciously and misrepresent as proof that Trump is soft on Russia.
Mm-hmm.
That's treason. That's what it is.
No. But is the president or are his advisors taking him the wrong way? Does he need to get back to what he did in 2016, which gained him? I think I've read reports upwards of 20%
All he has to do is run videos of these riots and these Democrat mayors marching with the rioters, and they've blown it at this peaceful protest that protest around the White House. Everybody knows, including the Democrats who just lie about it, that crowd, if the National Guard wasn't there, they would have climbed the White House fence and burned the White House. That's not a peaceful protest.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see peaceful protests? Look at the old videos of Martin Luther King's marches. Everybody's in a suit. Nobody's giving a hard time. It's the cops who were out of line then. Today, it's the demonstrators, if you want to call them that.
Well,
they're anarchists. They trash the 4th of July. They hate America. People have to start. Well, my book Blitz actually does this. There's no sugarcoating of who these people are in Blitz.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope it's followed. But there are other books like this.
Well,
there's none about Trump and the 2020 election.
Mm-hmm.
He will win because people want from their government, the first thing they want is safety. And Trump, law and order, he's doing exactly what he should be doing. You don't want to start the campaign now. You want to start it when people are paying attention, which is after Labor Day.
I saw a video. I'm sorry, David. I saw a video out of Atlanta where somebody, and I've been trying to find instances where people ask the very reasonable question, what happens when you dismantle the police? And somebody tries to
kill poor people who can't live in gated communities and don't have private security.
Well, I saw this one fellow.
It would be justice if they went after these mayors. And and to see how disreputable and repulsive these Democrats are. The mayor in Seattle, it was a summer of love. It's a street party. Until a leftist city council member, further left than the mayor, sicked the mob on her house.
Mm-hmm.
And they went and graffitied their house. Then in one day, she had the cops clear out this so-called autonomous zone crap. They shouldn't have been allowed to exist for a day. If she had done that weeks ago, that young black man who was murdered would still be alive. The blood of all these people who are being murdered is on the heads of the Democrat Party. And my one complaint is that Republicans aren't talking the way I'm talking right now.
Yeah.
and the way my book is written.
Well, why do you think that is? I mean, because I've said since
But they're
2017.
cowards. They're afraid of being called racists.
Right. But
That's
it's
the whole point. This white supremacy is idiotic. It's just idiotic. Our culture is dominated by black people. The popular culture, the music culture, sports culture, all our kids, white and black, look up. I mean, they're icons of, Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and Shaquille O'Neal, for crying out tears. That's their heroes. And blacks are totally a part of America's culture now. Mm-hmm. They're not second-class citizens.
Well,
and the reason they populate our inner cities, another thing nobody wants to talk about is the black crime wave. Black males are 6% of the population, but they commit 50% of the violent crimes in our country, and nobody will mention that. A police officer is 18 times more likely to be killed by a black criminal than a black person is to be killed by a police officer. And the studies show that police officers tend to shoot people of their own race, the white police officers, the Hispanic ones, and the black ones. Mm-hmm. And they never ask the question of, what race the cops are at. All that's going on in this country is every time a white person is involved, they're identified as white. Mm-hmm. How racist is that?
Well, I had that argument on CBS television once. I said, just by referring to me as having white supremacy without knowing anything other than the color of my skin is racist, and I was shouted down.
They're collectivists. They don't give a damn about you as an individual.
No, they don't.
This is such a violation of what America's about individual accountability and freedom. It's about Martin Luther King's version. Mm-hmm. They despise Martin Luther King.
Yes, they do, and that's amazing. Let me ask you this. Here in Charlottesville, at our flagship city, the University of Virginia has all of the audio tapes of Lyndon Johnson, and they trumpeted them when they arrived, and then people started playing them, and some of his very, very racially explosive comments about the black community and the development of
but he did more for blacks. I mean, he didn't, unfortunately, because the welfare system they devised is the greatest atrocity committed against blacks since slavery. But their intentions, I mean, he unleashed $20 trillion eventually that's been spent on welfare. Mainly but of course it doesn't go anywhere. It's just like their solution to the homeless problem. Mm-hmm. Homes, whereas these people will destroy those homes because they have mental problems and drug problems.
Right.
Instead of dealing with the real problem.
Right, the root problem, but I mean, it seems to begin there, and I mean, you look at the deficits the federal government is running, the fact that we have 4 times as many poor people in general, regardless of race, David. David Horowitz is on with us on Freedom and Prosperity Radio. So is your book a prayer or a promise that this will happen? Because
my book lays out the reality of what the Democrats have done, how they are a racist party, how they're a seditious party, an anti-American party, how they disrespect our political order, our constitutional order, how they lie. There's a tsunami of lies about Trump. I expose a lot of them, but you just see he gave it was suppressed. Mm-hmm. The July 4th address. He didn't mention the Confederacy or Confederate generals. Nope. He celebrated all Americans, and they called it dark and divisive and said that he was defending Confederates. Let me say something about the Civil War. I did a book 20 years ago about reparations for slavery, which is just an extortion movement of the left. I mean, if you want to sue for reparations, you sue the Confederacy, not the country that sacrificed 350,000 lives to free the slaves. But when I published that book, the left attacked it and attacked me, saying the Civil War wasn't about slavery. It was about preserving the Union. Well, wars often have complicated motives.
Mm-hmm.
And, these Confederate generals, again, you'd have to look at the individuals. I don't think Robert E. Lee was a supporter of slavery, but there were other issues involved than slavery. It was Lincoln who made it about slavery by signing the Emancipation Proclamation. The Civil War could have been won and the slaves could have still been slaves if it weren't for Lincoln.
Oh, absolutely. He was very good.
So to reduce it, not only there were 3,000 black slave owners, not only that, every slave in America was enslaved by black Africans and sold at slave auctions, for crying out tears. The problem is that people are terrified of the cancel culture.
Yeah.
The Black Lives Matter is a communist, violent, Jew-hating, America-hating organization.
Yeah, subsidiary of Tides.
Black Lives Matter. They've killed so many people, both after they were behind the Ferguson riots. It caused an enormous spike in crime at the time. All the statistics, by the way, are up on my website, Front Page Magazine.
But the statistics are there.
Black Lives Matter has scared the bejesus out of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to go up against them because they'll be called a white supremacist.
I mean, it's the same thing the mobs have been doing for years, whether it be the mobs of Chicago or the wherever these minority percentage population.
They intimidate people by guns.
Yeah,
this is much worse. You lose your job. I mean, top editors at magazines. I mean, there's a certain poetic justice in these liberals going down because they made all this possible.
Right.
But people are losing jobs. Or the dean of nursing at the University of Massachusetts was fired or forced to resign because she said all lives matter. This is totalitarianism. That's what it is.
Oh, it's the
These
Chinese programs.
Are no different from the Stalinists who ruled Russia and killed 40 million people. And trust me, if they had the power, if Joe Biden wins and Black Lives Matter gets the power, the first thing that will happen is that people like you will be in jail or in camps.
Yep. Absolutely. David, well, keep writing what you're writing. Keep them, and there's lots of very good articles as well besides the book Blitz, which you can get. It's frontpagemag.com. It's a New York Times bestseller, which I find to be gobsmacking that the New York Times hasn't eliminated you from the list.
Number 8 in the country. Number 8 at Publishers Weekly list, which is the comprehensive list. And despite the fact that Amazon has sabotaged it by... If you go up to Amazon, it says it's not available for 1 to 2 months, which is a lie.
Amazing. Well, get it. Go directly to the source. Go to frontpagemag.com. David, it's always an honor to have you, and your perspective from the 60s on through today, I think, has all come down in this book, because if we lose this fight for free speech, it doesn't matter what your whatever your political beliefs are, they're going to be suppressed by the mob.
Nobody's safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can never get to the left of them. They're always changing there. It's like Mount Rushmore. When Obama visited, it was a great monument, according to CNN. Bernie Sanders, talked about it reverentially. All of a sudden now it's about slave owners.
Of course.
Every black in America owes their freedom to Thomas Jefferson.
He laid out the groundwork.
Abraham Lincoln and the 350,000, mainly white Union soldiers who gave their lives to defeat the South.
Yep, absolutely.
Anyway,
thank you, sir, so much.
For having me.
No, it's been an honor.
President
I wish we
Trump has endorsed the book too.
He has?
Very powerful.
Yeah, he's.
I've written a ton of books. This is the one everybody should read.
David Horowitz, thank you so much. Blitz, Trump will smash the left and win. Thank you again for joining us this week.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Coming up next on Freedom and Prosperity Radio, the president of the Capital Research Center, Scott Walter,